All right, Miss Benitez, so we are going to talk about the lesson that I got to observe. Thank you for helping me with my assignment on inferencing.
Yes.
So before we start, what are you most proud of from the lesson that I observed?
Oh, the student engagement. They really enjoyed it, which always, I love that. But they were very into it. I pretty much feel like I had almost everybody actively engaging in their groups and in our lesson in the participation. I didn't have to beg anybody to participate. It was good. I liked that part.
And I definitely felt that too. When I was in there, the kids were engaged, they were walking around in their groups and they were participating. So what would you say, like your own personal takeaway, what would you avoid or what would you do differently?
Okay, so while they were engaged, we definitely struggled kind of with our group communication, our group peer-to-peer talking. When they were supposed to be coming up with an inference and when they were supposed to be coming up with their main event and their plot thing, some of them were like, no, it needs to be this one, no, it needs to be that one, and really should have communicated with them that it could definitely be more than one, and, you know, probably good sentence stems, how to anticipate challenges from the students, like, I like your idea, what about this one, instead of the snappy snap that was happening.
And I want to come back to that because I think that's great that you're able to identify what I did wrong, what I would like to fix, but also a takeaway of like, this is a proud moment of mine and I'm excited because you can identify your great teaching. So what was the objective? So when I came in, students were kind of working in groups and it looked like they had like pictures on their desk of movie pictures. So they already looked like they were collaboratively working and kind of identifying things. What was the objective that you had for your kiddos?
All right, so I don't know if you saw from the very beginning, I gave them very detailed and very graphic, vivid pictures that didn't have a title or anything, and they were supposed to look at the picture and infer what kind of story it would be, nonfiction, fiction. So they were infer the genre. They were supposed to infer a major plot event, and agree on a possible title.
Okay.
So, like starting out, we had a picture of 3 real-life bears sitting next to a little girl with blonde hair, and I kind of walked them through what it could be. Is this a fiction or nonfiction? It looks like she's reading them a story, that kind of thing. So, yeah, they were supposed to infer those 3 things just from a graphic, just from an illustration. That was our main goal, just inference, our fun friend inference.
So what did you want students then by the end of class? What were they, so if the objective was inferencing, what did you want them to be able to do independently by the end of class, and how would they show that to you?
By the end of class, on a little exit ticket, I would give them their own little picture, and they were to infer what kind of genre this picture would go with. They would also infer a possible main plot event, like when we started and it was Goldilocks and the 3 bears, kind of in real life without those words, kind of working on something they knew. And I was like, okay, so obviously a plot event could be a child is taming bears because she's talking with real life bears, and we know that that's not real life. So infer the plot event and give it a possible title, something that could work with it. You know, I would even take similar text-to-text, reference titles, like Goldilocks and the 3 Bears 2, the sequel.
Okay.
That
love it.
Just connecting and all the fun stuff that goes with that.
So how did you feel that your assignment or your task or your group project kind of tied into the objective? Did you feel like it was really anchored well? Did you feel like it was aligned?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I felt like, we took, I did mine. We did it together,
right?
And then they did theirs, and it was basically the same thing that just in steps together.
Okay, awesome. And when I came in, so what I observed was kind of like that end of the I do.
Yes.
So I kind of saw like the end portion of that, and I saw students kind of already going into groups and working together. And so it seemed pretty organized. I definitely would agree that kind of creating those action steps, which you already identified, of, just assigning roles and giving students more so this lens of like sentence starters would kind of help them. So my question for you is, what did you notice? Because when I left, I know you guys were finishing those exit tickets. So what did the data show you? What was the leverage from your highest level learner to your lowest level learner? What were your takeaways?
It felt like lots of us really got the hang of inferring and identifying. In my highest level, they could even create instead of a movie, it was a game, and then this game led to
like a branch
actions.
off. Okay.
Yes. They didn't want to be tied down to just this one thing, and they could kind of build and expand and almost create like a newish story. And I'm like, okay, I can see that's a little bit different from this one. And then my lower ones were basically copying just, I see, a girl. I'm like, okay.
So what would you do to kind of close that gap? I know we talk, you said you have a lot of engagement. So after reviewing your data, what did it show? How much, or what was your percentage of mastery that you had for standards?
It was really good on this one.
Okay.
I think mainly because of the engagement though. I believe it was about 70%.
Awesome, that's great.
It really was. I was like, ooh, I should do this all the time.
They loved it. They were excited.
They did.
So with a 70% mastery, are you looking to reteach that? Is that a standard that you feel needs to be retaught whole group, or
not as a whole
what
group.
are your action steps?
Small group.
Okay.
I pull my
Love
little
it.
ones that really, really struggled on it, pull them together possibly during pride time or tutoring in the morning, afternoon. Just a real quick, let's practice it again, kind of go over the same vivid, not the same vivid pictures, but different pictures,
Okay.
maybe a little bit closer to stories that they're familiar with, and see if they can't pull a little more from there and then maybe take those and build their own story.
Okay. So I want to give you about a minute, because I know that we're pressed for time. I don't want to steal all your planning. I want to give you about a minute to kind of just script a quick reteach of what you would do, or some of the misconceptions that we would address during pride time or during this tutoring time, because I would agree with you that the small group instruction is where we are going to kind of close that achievement gap. With a 70% mastery, I wouldn't want to do a whole group reteach. I think most of your kiddos are on it. So I'm going to give you about a minute, and I want you to kind of just, script real quick what you would do differently, and how you would kind of close that gap with your highest level learner to your lowest level. So if you want to just take a independent moment, and I'm just going to kind of time you here just to be respectful of your time. All right. I know it goes pretty fast. So I just kind of looked over your shoulder as you were writing and saw a lot of good takeaways. So what are you looking for during your reteach? And I want to give you a minute just to kind of like practice that and role play.
Okay.
And I know sometimes it feels kind of unorganic, but what are you looking for in your reteach before you just kind of jump on in? What are you expecting your students to be able to do?
Before the reteach? They should be pretty comfortable with this. Basically, it's the new
New pictures, right?
But they should be pretty comfortable with, oh, okay, it's a picture. I know I need to pull some clues out of it with what I've seen before and what the picture is telling me. And I should already know, okay, she's going to ask me what I think, what I predict, what I infer will happen. So they should be pretty comfortable with that already.
And how do you want your kiddos to show you that? Are you going to use the same exit ticket?
I will.
Or something newly created?
Yes, an exit ticket basically asking the same thing, but this time I have sentence stem options, word bank options, specific, maybe even a fill in the blank. I see, what do you see? Like word banks, do you see a girl? Do you see toys? Do you see animals? Do you see,
Love that. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you, whenever you're ready, just go ahead and pretend I'm your small group and go for it.
Okay. Thank you for coming back in. Okay. So we have, if you remember, we did our inferencing and our little pictures last week. Okay. Well, we kind of struggle with that, and that's totally understandable. I get it. It's hard. So let's practice a little bit more together. I'm going to give you our new picture, and I'm going to go first. I want you to listen to how I say things and when I say things, okay? So if I'm looking at my picture, And I'm going to say, oh, okay, so this is a picture of outside. All right, I can tell by the trees, I can tell by the grass. And I see a little girl, and she's sitting next to a lion. Oh, okay. So this couldn't possibly be a true story because a little girl is sitting next to a lion, and she's safe. She's smiling, she's happy, and the lion is actually sleeping. All right, so I can already tell that this is a fiction genre. That means it's not true. It's not going to happen. Obviously, we can't go sit next to lions. So this tells me that this is a fiction genre. So this story is not going to be real. Okay. So maybe it looks like, almost kind of reminded me of Dr. Dolittle that can talk to animals. Maybe this is Dr. Dolittle's daughter. Okay. So maybe we can think of something like that.
Awesome. So I'm going to stop you right there because I got a lot of great takeaways.
Nice.
So I wanted to say that I love the opportunity for modeling. I think it's great. I think especially when you're working with students, they need just to kind of see the expectation of what you're asking them to do. So the modeling, the Think Aloud was fabulous. I really like how you also mentioned the genre. So you're modeling, this is the genre of the text. You're making connections. You're saying, this reminds me of this. And so it allows the student to really connect with what you're doing. And so they know, I can infer, I can use the genre, I can make connections. What I want to reinforce is just remember to state that your learning target in the beginning and then your why. So when you pull your kiddos together, just remembering to tell them you did a fabulous job by saying we just need a little more additional practice. But I would kind of bring them together and say something along the lines of, this is our learning target and here's why it's important. So connecting that piece to them of, this is going to help me. When we kind of talked about this last week, when you shared all of the reasons why inferencing is important and building upon that knowledge for the next grade level to come. I think this is great. I think your script is fabulous. When can we kind of get a reteach in the books? What do you think?